A lovely morning to you once again. Thank you so much for being with us here on UBC TV. From the hour of 6:30, we'll appreciate till now with an extension of Good Morning Uganda into Good Morning Uganda Extra. In case you've just joined, I'm Robert Chirabonyitono, and this is your weekly morning show. So therefore, make it a date with us. From the hour of 6:30, we are here and we run up to 10 with Good Morning Uganda Extra. Now this morning, I have very interesting guests with a very interesting topic of discussion, and that is promotion of tourism. We all know that when you look at things that bring in money into our country, the tourism sector is doing us great. But also we know that we cannot handle tourism as Uganda in particular, with the East African community, and we must jointly work together to promote tourism within this area. A number of campaigns have been done, and they are aiming at promoting tourism within the East African region. Now, joining me on set, I have 3 guests, and all are people in the tourism sector. I have, that is the marketing manager, Uganda Tourism Board, and that is Kireya Mugabi. You're most welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And then just next to me, I have the president, that is Uganda Tourism Association, the association that brings together people in this sector, and that is Herbert Byaruhanga. You're most welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
And on the extreme end, last but not least, and actually this was intention, I have that is our consul, that is Paul Mukubya, Consul General, Uganda Consulate in Mombasa. Your Excellency, we are honored and privileged to be having you this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Robert, and thank you for hosting us.
Now, to begin with, there is a conference that is going to be held on the 17th, that is in Mombasa, with the aim of promoting tourism between Uganda and the coast, because there's so much we believe we can share. There's so much we believe that when a tourist jets in at one of these posts, they can rotate throughout, and at the end of that day, we all benefit, rather than someone saying this pensioner came from the UK, landed in Mombasa, so a few things left, leaving so much that has to be seen in Uganda. And I want to begin with, that is the marketing manager, Uganda Tourism Board. Claire, when we talk about tourism, looking at it on a broader spectrum, not only Uganda, why have we seen you venture into this? Because one would say, Uganda still need our tourists. One would say we still need to grow domestic tourism. Now one would say if you open up, the coast maybe has better beaches than us. They have better weather. They have so profound internationally that go to Mombasa, the coastal city, the coastal line. Why have we opted to jointly promote this?
Thank you. As you're aware, UTB is the destination marketing arm of government. So when COVID broke out, we started to look inward to promote domestic tourism, because at that point the borders were closed. People could not come in from the region and also from the international source markets. But now that the marketing environment is normalizing, COVID is almost out of the picture. Yes, we have some Ebola, but it is containable using the standard operating procedures. So now we are going back to our regional marketing strategy, which was focusing on the 3B wider segments, which is the domestic, the regional, and the international source markets. And for the regional source markets, we focus on the East African region, because that is the biggest, about 80% of our arrivals that come into the country are from the region. And in fact, the number 1 source market within the region is Kenya. So for us, this gives us an opportunity to promote our tourism proposition, first of all to the Kenyans at the coast, but then also the international visitors that come to Kenya for the experiences around the coast. Like you've mentioned, the strategy that we are adopting at the moment is what we call competition, not competition. In the past, Uganda would compete with Kenya for tourists, Uganda would compete with Rwanda for tourists, but over time we've seen that when people come from, especially the international markets like America, like the UK, they would want to tour this region as the East African region. So it's very important that we start to work together, which is the competition strategy, and itinerize in a way that allows them to be exposed to what we have in Uganda, what our our neighbors have at the coast, and then maybe what other people have in Rwanda or Tanzania. So I feel that that is a more sustainable strategy as opposed to thinking that someone can come to Uganda, go back to the US, and then come back to maybe to Mombasa or you know, then go to Rwanda. So we want to synergize. This conference is giving us an opportunity to identify the top tier people that trade in our space of tourism. That is the tour operators, the top tier tour operators at the coast, the travel agents, and also the travel media. It's giving us a platform to tell them about what we have in Uganda. And what is going to make this collaboration very, very successful is that our product is not the same at all. The product that they have, tourism product at the coast, is very different from what we have to offer in Uganda. So our products can very, very much complement each other. So we want to use this platform to tell each other about the products that we have and discuss ways of collaboration so that we start to promote tourism. First of all, also the coast is the biggest number of people from the region that go to the coast are also Uganda. So it is a symbiotic relationship. Each of the countries is looking to the other as the other number one source market for regional arrivals. So it's going to give each of us an opportunity. It's going to give Uganda an opportunity to promote our product to the Kenyans living around the coast, so that if you want something more than the beaches, you know that you can come to Uganda for religious tourism. Kenya is a big source market for Uganda for Martyrs Day. A lot of tens of thousands of Kenyans come in every Martyrs Day to enjoy our, you know, the celebrations with us. They can come in for adventure. They can do a lot of things around the source of the Nile. Then we have the big seven. There are no chimpanzees in Kenya. There are no gorillas in Kenya. So we are looking to come up with a collaborative strategy that allows for us to work with each other in a collaborative way.
Now this takes me to the president of the Uganda Tourism Association. We believe, yes, the tourism sector in Uganda is much younger compared to that in Kenya. And there is this belief that when we open up, because if I have a tour company in Uganda, I can do business in Kenya, so that the Kenyan or someone from the coast can do business here. Why does this leave those in the tourism business in Uganda when we open up so clearly? Do you have safeguards? Is this something that maybe the Kenyans won't take advantage and leave Ugandans now here announcing or at the end of the day just picking from leftovers?
Thank you, Robert. I think that's not how it is. If you look at the business of tourism in the regional context, we cannot compete. We can't even afford to think about competition because this is a huge destination that has lots of attractions, lots of potential new products. Therefore, regional Uganda was doing very well in the 60s, but for some economic challenges here and there, they were able to move faster, and of course accessibility to the ocean gave them a chance to do that. But where we are now, we are looking at how do we synergize as the tour operators, hoteliers, guides, everybody, to work together and make sure that we win confidence. We need confidence in the collaboration. Who is on the other side? Who is on this side? If you have clients who come to Mombasa and they are there for 2 weeks, can we add on a week in Uganda? If they have 2 weeks in Uganda, can we add on a week in Mombasa? But we need to collaborate. So we're going to use this platform to make sure that we understand who is who. And doing so, we have to go further ahead and sign MOUs on how we're going to collaborate. We have already looked at the standards which we originated from Uganda, especially the service providers. We must have standards. If you are a waiter in Uganda, can you work in Mombasa as well without any hassle? If you are a guide in Uganda, can you work in Mombasa? If you are a guide in Mombasa, can you come straight away and work in Uganda without any hassle? Do you understand Uganda? So these standards will help us to train together, develop training manuals together, and then package the destination together, because they understand their clients. We understand our clients. So if we put them together and develop new itineraries that can give a better experience, especially the nearby source markets of Europe. They have been coming here for many, many years. So we need now to put together and see what do we add on each other and be able to do very well. The good case in point is the cultural heritage tourism. East Africa has got lots of tribes and clans. Our ways of life are completely different, but we live together in harmony. We don't have any big challenge of living together. So we can package these together now and provide a difference from the original tour package we have had. Now, if you look at the combination of wildlife and culture plus adventure, it's going to give a new dimension of products which will actually attract more tourists into the country. Like my colleague said, the Kenyans, most of the Kenyans we found out, they don't know Uganda, especially the coastal area. And these are people who are very, very rich. They have been in business for quite a long time. But even touring, they don't know the country, they don't know where to go. I was surprised in May when we were there, the guys didn't know. So it is an opportunity for us to begin with them and make them more regular into the country as we also go there. Because they know, maybe the ambassador will tell you, they told us that the Ugandan market is so rich in terms of parties. We are known for parties. We take a lot of wedding parties in Mombasa, so which is already good. So the collaboration is already there. We are not worried that we are going to compete. We are only going to complement each other and move it faster with this. Of course, you know the common market protocols really provide for the free movement of labor, but to do this we need to win confidence of both sides. Who is a hotelier here, who is a hotelier at the other side. If you are going to be manager here, what level are you? So that you can work in Sheraton here, you can work in another hotel in Mombasa. If you are level 2, 3, can you move across and people are comfortable with you? Yeah.
Well, that sounds very good, and of course, these synergies and working together. But Ambassador, this brings me to you. When I was looking at the Kenya Tourism Board report that was around COVID-19, it was very clear that Ugandans actually were so many crossing over there for tourism. And when I came back here in Uganda, I tried to look at statistics. It was more like you can think Ugandans don't even have money to tour. Our industry is so much on foreigners. But I was shocked to learn that these same people who may seem like touring, are blessing Kenya, are blessing the coast. So much as this is very good and welcoming, how do we build confidence back home that even what we have, a Ugandan in their mind comes to believe that if I go to Renzori, if I go to Semlake, if I go to CP Falls, I'm still in Uganda. I'm actually touring. Rather than thinking that for them, we must go to Mombasa, we must fly out of Uganda, honeymoon, we are going. You see, they are so jolly, and we tell them, no, you don't know what is happening at Mwea Safari Road, very beautiful, you see. How do we change this mindset?
I think the changing of mindset, as you say, is very important because of this mentality that if you are going for honeymoon, if you are going for holiday, you need to board a plane. I think that's the first challenge that we have. And then the thinking that there is no tourism, you cannot enjoy yourself when you are in Uganda. So we need to sensitize the people about the products we have. And actually, even the cost, because it is much cheaper to do domestic tourism. For example, recently when we were doing one of our preparatory meetings, the colleague from Uganda Wildlife Authority told us that whereas a gorilla permit for a foreign tourist is $700, it is only 250,000 Uganda shillings for a Ugandan or an East African for that matter, because these days we treat East African as a domestic market. So I think we just need to do more of sensitization to make people aware of the beauty of the much cheaper cost, so that they are able to appreciate the very good products that we have, the good facilities we have, and the cheaper cost that they would incur in order to do domestic tourism. Indeed, it is one of the best things we need to do to convince Ugandans that in order to have a holiday, you actually don't need to fly to Mombasa, you don't need to fly to Dubai, but you can spend much less and enjoy much more when you are just here at home. It's a process that I'm sure UTB and the Uganda Tourism Association are undertaking to sensitize Ugandans. And when you saw during COVID, when they realized that actually at some point you are not even able to travel, as Claire said at the beginning, then you realize that, because now these days we have actually realized that the world can close suddenly. And God forbid if it closes and you are in Dubai. and you had gone with about $1,000 or $2,000, which may get used up within 1 or 2 weeks. So these are all the challenges that going out abroad entails, but which challenges do not exist when you are traveling domestically. So it's just a process of sensitizing the Ugandans about the beauty of Uganda. You ask someone that, oh, have you been to this place in Uganda? Unfortunately, they proudly tell you that, no, I have not been there. It's a shame, but this is a process. Sensitization will go on. With time, people will realize. Because one time I worked in China, and these Chinese can feel an Airbus A380 on a domestic flight. And that's why China can manage to close themselves to the, up to now there are a lot of restrictions to go to China. Almost 3 years since COVID started, but domestically they are able to sustain their tourism. So this helps us to also sustain our tourism better when we engage more in domestic tourism.
Now this takes me back to Claire. Claire, as we go into this marriage, I want to term it like a marriage. How prepared are we as Uganda? I must say I'm guilty as convicted, have been one of those Ugandans that when I think of touring, I do it so much outside Uganda. Masai Mara land, it is of recent when I joined the Uganda Bikers that I began touring Uganda because they have domestic tours almost every other 3 months. But one thing I've seen is recently, yes, we opened up to explore Uganda. But even when you just reach any airport in Kenya, you see the Masai, you see wherever you move, symbols, shops. So there's something you know that I've come in Kenya, the business trip, I must get to see a Masai. I must get, when you come to our airport, mobile money, when you got all buildings, this is this a land of drunkos? This, you know, branding and packaging. That's why I think many Ugandans may not even know what you have to tour. So you drive from Entebbe airport up to somewhere. You're not seeing something that will trickle your mind. Don't live without seeing this. Like the Kenyans are doing it. How are we standing in terms of, because making what we have known easily, that even if you had no interest, that if a person maybe even was to remain at the coast and off for some reasons, maybe go to and say they come from Uganda, they'll not just come to sleep in a hotel. I find there's something really missing in terms of showing this is what I have, this is our niche, this is what you should go without seeing. Our brothers there are doing it tremendously. When you cross to Rwanda, oh my God, they even advertise stadiums. Stadiums, and you're like, So what are we doing as Uganda?
Thank you for that question, Robert. As the Uganda Tourism Board, first of all, we are working very closely with the private sector to make sure that we continuously enhance our product offering. Uganda is undoubtedly the most beautiful country in the world and within the region. That is why we are called the Pearl of Africa. It is not by mistake that we are called the Pearl of Africa. So through God's grace, we already have the product. So our job as the Tourism Board is to work with our different stakeholders to maintain that product. We work with OWA to make sure that we put in place conservation efforts that ensure that we continue to have our product. And then also we invest in a lot of research to continuously improve and enhance our product offering so that it continues to meet the ever-changing needs of our prospective visitors. Then as the Tourism Board, the other area of our mandate is quality assurance. We are also the regulators of the sector. We make sure that all the operators in the sector operate while conforming to minimum standards worldwide. So that is the other area that we focus on. We make sure that we educate the hotels, sensitize them on what are the minimum standards that are expected by an international traveler, like Herbert mentioned already. One of the things that actually we want to learn when we go for this conference, Mombasa has some of the state-of-the-art facilities when it comes to accommodation. So for us as Uganda, we want to go there and benchmark with those facilities and benchmark with the standards, their classification criteria and all the other things that they do. So that when, if it's a Statu hotel in Mombasa, it is the same criteria we're going to use in Uganda, so that if a visitor is booking to sleep in a 3-star hotel or 4-star, that we meet their expectations. So they are not exposed to something different in Mombasa, and then when they cross over to Uganda, they find something totally different. What you're calling a 4-star is actually a 1-star or not even unrated. So we want to work together and
calling guest
ensure
houses, hotels.
exactly that we standardize across the region, because it's the only way we are going to make sure that we meet expectations of the sector. As the tourism board as well, we are investing a lot. Of course, our resource envelope is limited. I get a lot of questions, people telling me, oh Claire, don't you see what Rwanda is doing? Why can't you do the same? But sometimes we are limited financially on what we can do. So we work more efficiently through low-cost, high-impact ventures, like, for example, collaborations with our private sector and our consulates, the embassies abroad. For example, now we're going to bring people on a familiarization trip. Through the consulate, we have identified top-tier tour operators from the coast. They'll be coming to Uganda on what we call a familiarization trip to expose to them to the product that we have. It's not enough for us to just go to Mombasa and tell them, you know, we have the Rwenzori, it is like this, we have these chimpanzees in Kibale, these are the numbers. After we have theoretically told them about the product, we will be bringing them here to see what we actually have, so that they also experience what they will be selling to their potential visitors that they're bringing to Uganda. So those are some of the areas that, as the tourism board, that we are focusing on, ensuring that we have a good product. We are working with different stakeholders also to address some challenges that we had, like, for example, infrastructure challenges. People used to say that our product is good, the national parks are good, but accessibility is a problem. So we're working closely with the Ministry of Works to work on the road system. And I think most people can appreciate that this government has tried to work on the infrastructure. When you're going to Gulu, going to Kidepo, the different places, the infrastructure is getting better by the day. There was also a challenge when it comes to domestic tourism promotion. People would say, okay, we want to tour Uganda. We've been to Dubai many times, but we don't know where to go. So as a tourism board, we embarked on back-to-back promotions, awareness campaigns, just to tell people, not telling them to go to the different places, but just telling them where they are. So now that many Ugandans know where these places are, there was the other challenge of prices, where they said our private sector charges them in dollars, and they would want the Ugandan shillings, even if it's not discounted, but it sounds more affordable if you tell me that your hotel is 300,000, as opposed to telling me that it is maybe $100 or something. So we've also worked on that, and also we've worked on subsidizing the prices, but also very importantly on customizing our offering to Ugandans as well. Because what we realized is that we don't have a homogeneous market. People want different things in terms of tourism. You can find someone who just wants to come here to dance and enjoy the nightlife, and you're telling them, no, you must go to the national park. So we are trying to understand what would a typical Ugandan want to experience around Uganda. Do they want to go to the national park? They want silent disco? So we also develop customized itineraries around their areas of interest. So we're going to do the same. That's why we're going for this conference, to have engagements with our potential partners, the travel trade partners in Mombasa, to ask them what would typically a visitor that comes to Mombasa be interested in as an add-on to augment and complement what they're having here, so that we itinerize from an informed point of view. Yes.
Okay. Well, so much is going on in the tourism sector, but that is a conference that is going to be held from the 17th, and that will be in Mombasa, as Claire and the team is explaining. Allow me go for a very short break. When I return, we'll now focus majorly on this conference. We return shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
We bring you a fresh, well-researched program to help you identify opportunities for investment, job creation, growing your entrepreneurial skills, wealth creation, and social transformation.
We have a product that is ready for schools, supermarkets.
Create wealth, transform livelihoods. Every week we showcase opportunities for creating new products and services.
I now harvest a lot of cocoa. When I harvest it, I sell. After selling, I put money in my project. I have 2 projects. 1 is for construction of my house, 2 is for educating my children.
Excellence in innovation, the passion and drive to succeed, and the right mindset to grow your business. Create wealth, transform livelihoods. Brought to you by Operation Wealth Creation.
I remember the lockdown, when the streets were empty and our lives disrupted, when businesses closed and our livelihoods hung in the balance. Hospitals were full. We lost loved ones, jobs, and hope. Our children couldn't study anymore. We cannot let this happen again. We should not go back. Get fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and join the millions of Ugandans who are already vaccinated.
Mombasa is set to host
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
a very important conference on tourism. The conference is aimed at maximizing the tourism potential between Kenya's coast region and Uganda. It will take place on the 17th of this month. Now find out why the timing of this event is so significant and what it means for you. Tourism plays a key role in the economies of the East African community. The sector contributes an average of 17% to export earnings. More so, tourism has important linkages with other sectors of the economy, including agriculture, manufacturing, and the service sector. In Uganda, the tourism sector is blossoming amid a new campaign under the brand Explore Uganda. The country is endowed with unique safaris, rich cultural and historical heritage, and a variety of attractions of flora and fauna, among others.
Among the products that Uganda has got to offer, number one is the warmth of the people of Uganda. They are very welcoming, very friendly. We have a lot of greenery, we have a lot of nature. The climate is another attraction that we have in Uganda. Then we have some other products like the mountain gorillas that are found in the Bwindi impenetrable forest. Uganda is home to the biggest population of these mountain gorillas. And then we have in eastern Uganda what we call the source of the Nile River, the River Nile. And then the water rafting, the adventure tourism in Jinja on the River Nile, where people go water rafting. It's a bit scary, but it's a big attraction.
Kenya's coastal region, on the other hand, is the tourism hub of Kenya and has several attractions, from the historical Fort Jesus, beautiful beaches and resorts, among others. Now, Kenya and Uganda can complement each other in tourism, and it is against this background that the Uganda Consulate in Mombasa, the Kenya Coast Tourism Association, and Uganda Tourism Association, and key sectors in the tourism sector are organizing a one-day tourism conference and exhibition to be held at Pride Inn Paradise Hotel in Mombasa on 17th November 2022.
There is a charter flight daily from Germany coming to the coast. Now these people, some of them are retirees who have come to the coast 1, 2, 3 times, and they come and are seeing the same thing. So why not bring the tour operators of the coast together with those of Uganda, so that they develop joint packages? We have another product. We can give you an itinerary where you will begin at the Kenya coast, and then you can go over to Uganda and experience something on the same itinerary.
Direct flights between Mombasa and Entebbe by Uganda Airlines is a big boost to the linkage between Kenya coast and Uganda.
When we create these synergies and networks and complementarity, the people who come to the coast can take a flight to Uganda, 1 hour, 20 minutes, they can begin in the coast and go to Uganda, or vice versa, they can begin in Uganda and come to the coast.
The Mombasa conference will be followed by a tour of tourism attractions at the Kenya coast. Thereafter, selected tour operators, members of the media, and influencers from Kenya will proceed on a familiarization trip to Uganda for first-hand experience of some of the tourism attractions in Uganda. Remember, the Mombasa conference is set to take place on the 17th of this month at Pride Inn Paradise Hotel.
People will not pay to participate. At least that cost is being fully covered by the organizers. We are trying to raise the sponsorship from here and there.
All stakeholders are invited to participate, and for details, call the numbers on the screen. See you then.
Well, so much regarding the tourism conference and exhibition that is going to be happening on the 17th of this month, and that will be in Mombasa. And I have my colleagues here with whom we've been discussing regarding tourism since the beginning of the show. And I have something for the president now. People now, that video clearly stipulates what is going to happen, the benefits and everything. But one thing that also comes to my attention, this marriage we are talking about brings out of opportunities for people in Uganda as well as the people in Mombasa. But one of the things we've always talked about is how hospitable Ugandans are. You see, we are so welcoming, we are so lovely, we are so friendly. But when it comes to service delivery in this sector, most of the hotel sector, there's so much that they say what you see by people when it comes to service delivery are not in tandem. And I remember the early days of this industry, we had so many Kenyans dominate here. They were the managers, they were the waiters, you would ask, don't you have Ugandans? So how have we, what efforts have you put in place to demystify this or to improve the situation?
Thank you, Robert. You know, I dabble as the chairman of Tourism and Hospitality Sector Security Council. So what we are doing now is to make sure that every occupation has a standard. Every occupation. We have identified 210 occupations so far. So all these include every service provider in the tourism and hospitality sectors. So those occupations are going to have, they have to go through a process. We shall validate them, and then after validating them, we shall have them, their standards developed, and then we shall have them, of course, once you have the standards developed, then you are able to sell them to the other people in Kenya, Tanzania, everywhere. So that's what we are doing. And we realized also we didn't have enough training institutions, even the trainers, and we are focusing on developing our capacity, having trainers in the system, and then assessors in the system to assess the levels of competences of the people that we have. And that one helps us so much. That will give confidence to the Kenyans. That's why you see, like in the travel sector, you see we now have many more guides coming up now. They have taken over and they can compete favorably. You can see them going to Kenya and Kenyans coming here because there's no more fear. Even the hotel sector now, we are moving in. In fact, in the next 2 weeks, we have a big meeting of hoteliers and general managers. We are validating the occupations. Once they agree with them, we shall work with government agencies like DIT, UBTEB, to develop the manuals for training so that we can have quality people. Once we have that, we are in good business. There is no problem. Ugandans have very good attitudes. They are hospitable by far and comparable. Ugandans are very, very hospitable. We have always been seen as submissive people. We don't want to go into unnecessary quarrels with people. So we have very good attitudes. It doesn't take long. It's just a question of having regulations in place. Like now, there is a very good department at UTB, which is working together with us, with the council and the Directorate of Industrial Training and UBTEB, meaning that there's no shortcut now. People have to go through proper training and be assessed and given licenses. So that one is being worked on now. Yeah.
Well, Claire, now this moves me into the conference. Is it by invite? Is it to be paid for? Or I think let me just push that to the ambassador since he's here and it's going to be in Mombasa. Basically, yes. Who qualifies to be part of the conference? What are the requirements? Because what I stand to benefit, we've seen that more in the clip.
Thank you, Robert. Every key player in the tourism sector in Uganda, and for that case, even those at the coast, particularly, but also in the wider Kenya, they are welcome to participate in this conference. What you need to do is to register. You must register in order to attend. And the portal is the tourismconference.com. Once you are registered there, you don't have to pay anything to attend. For Ugandans, we have been working very closely with the Uganda Airlines, with the Uganda Tourism Board, with the Uganda Tourism Association, Uganda Wildlife Authority. So Uganda Airlines has offered a highly subsidized rate fare, which is almost 100% discounted, 50% discounted. So instead of paying over $450 for a return ticket to Mombasa, people will be paying only $250 for a return ticket to Mombasa. And as I said earlier, the conference is fully catered for, but also accommodation, because when people go in on the 16th of this month, that will be a Wednesday, we have also arranged excursions in Mombasa, because we want to, even the Ugandan tour operators, when they are selling the cost, they should know what they are selling. So people, we have organized excursions in Mombasa on the day of arrival on the 16th. Then on 17th is the conference at Pride in Paradise Hotel in Mombasa. Then on 18th, we shall be going to Chirifi. Chirifi is one of the counties of the coast. Many people, when you talk about the coast, they think it is just Mombasa. But there are especially 3 counties which are key in the tourism hub of the coast. So from Mombasa, we shall go to Chirifi, specifically Malindi. Maybe when we talk of Malindi, that may sound familiar to the Ugandans. So we shall go to Malindi on 18th, visit the Vasco da Gama Pillar. I think we have all heard.
Studied about it.
Vasco da Gama.
Either you failed a question in a paper or...
So people, we shall also take the Ugandan delegates to see the Vasco da Gama Pillar, and a lot of the other interesting features. The marine park, you know, the coast has a number of marine parks. So they will also, we shall go to the ocean, to the Indian Ocean, and see the marine park on the ocean. Then on 19th, we shall be in Diani, in Kwale County. I think many people have heard of, many Ugandans normally when they travel to the coast, they go to Diani, because they have the most beautiful beaches at the coast. So on the 19th, we shall be in Diani, and the accommodation in Chilifi and Kwale is complimentary. It has been fully covered by those counties. They have given us, even if there are 100 Ugandans that go for the conference, they will all be accommodated free of charge in Malindi and in Diani. And as I've said, even in Mombasa, the hotel is heavily discounted. Pride in Paradise is one of the best hotels at the coast. But they have given us a subsidized rate of $130, half board. Half board means bed, breakfast, and dinner. So they have given us that rate, but we have identified some other cheaper hotels, up from $50 upwards, which are not far from the venue, where the Ugandan tour operators and delegates can stay. So you can see that it's really a highly subsidized package, beginning from the airfare to the accommodation, to the conference package. All these are highly subsidized and in some cases completely free. So just go to the tourismconference.com and register. Nobody will attend if you are not registered. And very soon we shall be closing the registration portal, because we may soon get the numbers that we need. So what I need to do is to encourage the Ugandan tour operators, because, and I've been telling this to the president of the Ugandan Tourism Association, we don't want to sit in a conference where the participants are almost only Kenyans, because again they will be the ones to benefit. So we encourage as many tourism players in Uganda to be part of this very interesting conference, and we hope that from now on we shall actually make it an annual event, so that maybe next year we can organize it here in Kampala in Uganda. Thank you.
Very interesting. One man once told me, Robert, money makes money. You want to get more money? You make investments. So for our counterparts here in Uganda, they're already in business, tourism business. You want to make more business, you want to make more money, then I think this is a conference that is a must attend to them. But Claire, still talking about this conference, we know that we've had a number of conferences, some hosted here. From the time we had Chogam 207, people have traveled to international conferences, and all is see return home. What assurance do you give Ugandans that are going to participate here that reasons why they must attend? Because one will tell you now with tourism, just a click of the button. You can convince your clients, send them pictures, send them video clips. You have a very wonderful video about Uganda that is Explore Uganda. And I also know it's an award-winning, actually, video. I must commend you for that good job, that you came up with a piece that is really very good. So why would I invest money to go for this conference? I have my tourism company, like my brother here. I have my vans, I have my... Why would this be a thing I should die for?
Thank you very much, Robert. For us as a tourism board, actually, since this year started and the board has opened up, we have intensified our efforts around converting the arrivals from the region. You know, like I mentioned that 80% of the arrivals into Uganda are from within the region, though many of those are not really tourism arrivals. They are people that come to trade, buy things, Bitenji from Chikugo, buy all sorts of things. So our job right now is to see that if someone comes for any other business in Uganda, they set aside 1, 2, 3 days to do some tourism in the country. And with that strategy, we have done a lot of activations in Kenya. In May this year, we went to Kenya with about 52 operators from Uganda and had a roadshow. A roadshow basically means an activation where you organize business-to-business meetings between Ugandan operators, similar to what is going to happen now, between Ugandan operators and prospective partners in Kenya. So that was also a very well-attended roadshow. And from May till now, the people that attended that roadshow have actually got bookings of not only Kenyans, but also the international arrivals to Kenya that we talked about that extend their itinerary to Uganda. So again, this is consolidating. It is intended to consolidate our presence in the Kenyan source market, create more business linkages, and further get more Kenyans to come to Uganda for tourism, and also the international people that come to Kenya to the coast especially. I know that the coast, maybe the ambassador will speak more about that. Almost every week, a chartered plane from Russia flies into the coast in Mombasa for the beaches. The Russians come to Africa for the 3 C's, that is the sun, the sea, and the sun, sea, and sand. So Uganda has the best sun, undoubtedly. So what we want to do is to work with the people that bring in those Russians on those chartered planes. Can we get them, if they're going to stay at the coast for a week or 2, can they come to Uganda for now other products that are not beach tourism, like the the adventure that we talked about, and the primate safaris. So for us, this is going to give us an opportunity for people to further create business linkages. It's going to be a networking platform for people to get partners. Before COVID, some people were already they were trading in the Kenyan source market. They had 2 operators that they work with. Sometimes, most of these international visitors, they don't book directly. They must book through to operator. So you must have a partner in Kenya that is going to work with you to develop that extension itinerary for Uganda, because people don't book directly. So there are people that already had partners before COVID, but after COVID, with the disruption that we had, some people left the trade, they have gone to, you know, other sectors. So it's giving people an opportunity to find new business, new partners, new linkages, and new customers in the Kenya source market. And we've been working very closely with the Tourism Board, UTB, for us to show actually our intentional pursuit of the Kenyan source market. We even went ahead last year, at the end of last year in December, and had what we call market destination representatives. These are firms that are basically supposed to do the work of UTB in our source markets. They are supposed to market and promote Uganda in those chosen source markets so that we see more people coming in. So we hired a firm in Kenya, it's called Poland. It's been popularizing Uganda amongst the Kenyans and also the international travelers that come to Kenya. And from the time we brought them on board, we've seen increased arrivals even to our national parks of Kenyans. A lot of Kenyans come, they don't just fly into the country, they even take the buses. Every weekend we have so many Kenyans coming just for our nightlife, to be in our bars here in Kampala.
I think Uganda, we're excelling in the region.
Nyege.
We have many that come from Rwanda, buses that
Yes.
come from Rwanda,
Nyege,
just to
nyege.
enjoy Burundi, just to
Yes.
enjoy the nightlife of Uganda.
Nyege, because of the efforts that, you know, the promotion that we're doing with this farm, close to 60% of the participants, regional and international, were people from Kenya. So we are seeing a lot of more Kenyans coming into Uganda, understanding that actually Uganda, much as we are very near them, our product is very different, it is very diversified. So we want them to come, even for, you know, the beaches. We have, you know, the islands, you know, we have different beaches as well. So it doesn't mean that when you come to Uganda, you can't go to the beaches. Yes, they have Mombasa, but also have our smaller versions of what they have.
Fresh water beaches.
Exactly.
Very nice.
So,
Not salty waters.
No, fresh
So it's-
water. With the whole of
Exactly.
this island, full of freshwater beaches and just,
They can also do some rifting there.
yeah, they're just very clean water. They can even go in and swim without any problem. Yeah.
So this is really in line with our strategy of trying to convert all the 80% arrivals that come into the country from the region into actual tourists, people that actually come to spend on tourism experiences.
Very interesting. Now this brings me back to the president of the Uganda Tourist Association. Excuse me. Now let's also look at our facilities, because much as this effort, this conference is aiming at ensuring that if you tap into Mombasa, you don't leave Mombasa without crossing to Uganda. But also that brings me to the facilities and vice versa, actually.
Yes.
Not for me, I'm more interested in us taking.
No. You don't want to be
It's a
paranoid.
win-win.
It's a win-win situation.
Yes.
But also that, now this brings me to facilities, you know, most of the times, and I must say this a bit slowly, I don't want those foreigners to hear. Most of the times I've visited some of our tourist sites. When you go to the source of the Nile, since I was in school, I knew John Speak discovered what, as if there weren't Ugandans there, but that is a topic for another day. Who even helped him to know where it is. But if you reach the source of the Nile, you're like, what you have in your mind before you've gotten there, you know? Oh God, I'm going to see something, but okay, this time there are some improvements. I think, I don't know what they're going to construct there. I love Sipi Falls. If it rains and you want to go to Sipi Falls, you need cars they have. My Vits may not be able to get there. To mention but a few, Claire, you know what I'm talking about. And this is, and when I compare to what I found in Masai Mara land, you know, all these destinations, roads, well designed, the communities around are very receptive, they even tell you how they are benefiting from these. Come to Uganda, the roads, then secondly, human and wildlife conflict, to the 7 lions killed. So I know you're in the private sector, but she talked about government partnering with the private sector. How do you overcome these kind of stopgaps into business, people who are in business?
You see, the first thing is to get quality investors. One objective of this conference is to attract investors who have money, who understand the service. When you have poor investors, you get all those stopgaps because people are not they haven't understood and appreciated the quality of business we want to have, the volume of business we want to get. So it is important to attract quality investors. In fact, PSFU comes involved in this thing because there are very many investors who are also going there to learn from the other side, to come back and see what we should be investing here in Uganda. That's very, very important. But also, there is another department at Uganda Tourism Board, which is quality assurance, and they work with the partner states. They set up standards for grading hotels. So they are grading the hotels. So, and I'm sure they are going to work on it now. They are going to improve to make sure that at least every hotel to become 5-star, you have subscribed to certain standards. And once you're a 5-star in Uganda, you can still be a 5-star where? In Kenya. Now, the other thing is that over this conference, it is important that the hoteliers in this country, service providers, be part of this, especially the farm trip which is coming, so that they're able to listen carefully, learn the expectations of those who have already been in bigger business than us. In fact, hotel owners and lodge owners are very much encouraged to be part of these farm trips. It doesn't cost much by hosting people at your hotel and you listen to them. But if you host them and you're not there, you will not learn. You host them, be there with them, and help so much that we are going to see how can we improve on the quality. What would be the expectations of the Kenya tour operator, the hotelier in Kenya? What did they do to win customers, having chartered flights from Germany, from Russia, from Europe every week, 2-3 times? The coast is full of tourists. What did they do? So we have to learn from them and be able to get to what they are doing. So we are encouraging many Ugandans to be part of this so that they're able to learn from our counterparts and make sure that this farm trip of the Kenyans coming here is beneficial to all of us. Not only saying Hotel X is going to host them, this one is hosting them. No, people should be fighting to say, me, I'm taking 3, me, I'm hosting 5. Me, I can even provide a vehicle. I'm providing a guide so that they're able to listen to them and learn from them. And that's the best trick of learning from others, by offering this kind of service, which is already a hanging fruit to them. Yeah.
Well, Ambassador Claire talked about tapping into the regional tourists. Now, for this particular conference, who are you targeting? Are we targeting even Kenyans to come here, or are we targeting the chattered, you know? Are we targeting those that chatter? What is our specific target? And if so, if it has the regional, how are we making this affordable to the regional people, whom we usually, recently I saw the minister, State Minister for Tourism, he was talking about having that if you're from Kenya, you're from Rwanda, you're from Tanzania, South Sudan, members of this African community, you're not taken as a foreigner when you come to Uganda, because you're from the region. Yeah. So you're not charged what the foreigners do. So in that spirit, throw more light.
Thank you, Robert. Maybe before I respond to that, I want to add to what Herbert indicated about encouraging the Ugandan hoteliers to be part of the farm trip. As I told you, in the coast, they are actually fighting to be part of hosting the Ugandans. That's why we have been able to get hotels in Malindi and Diani that are willing to host up to 100 people. They will host all the Ugandans, and they are fighting to be part of this. So that's very important that even the Ugandans try hard to be part of the hosting of the farm trip. But about the target audience, yes, we are targeting the Kenyans also. And you know what makes it easier for us to target the Kenyans is that you don't have to fly from Kenya to come to Uganda. You know, you can get into a bus. If you have a vehicle, you can drive your own car. If you're traveling from Mombasa, you can take SGR train from Mombasa to Nairobi and then get onto another bus. So it is much cheaper for the Kenyans to travel to Uganda. So we are actually targeting them. And as the president said earlier, we think that the Kenyans know about Uganda, but actually many of them don't. And you know, the Kenyan economy is a big, strong economy. They have the money. Even at the coast, there are a lot of these retirees, the Kenyans themselves, but also the youth, whom we said enjoy the nightlife, and Kampala is the capital city of nightlife in the region, if not in Africa. So we are targeting all of these Kenyans. We are not, then in addition to those, we are targeting those international arrivals, those who come in. For example, Germany, now it is peak. Pre-COVID, you could get a charter flight from Germany almost every day. And they would end their tours at the coast. A few of them would proceed to Zanzibar maybe. But as Claire said, this is another group we are targeting. Those so many, they have been there once, twice, and they are seeing the same thing. So we want to encourage them. It's actually like a tripartite. The cost tour operators, the Ugandan tour operators, and then the tourists themselves. And all of them are winning. The tour operators from the coast and in Uganda are getting more business, but the tourists themselves are getting a wider experience. Value for money. So it is everybody is a winner in this. And the other beauty, you know, whereas for example to promote trade between the two countries, you need to put in money. For example, if you are to do an investment, you have to put in money to carry out the investment. But in order to promote this concept we are working on, you don't need to put in any more money. You already have your infrastructure. You have, if you're a tour operator, you have your laptop, you have your networks. So it's just a matter of adding them to your networks without putting any more in any cash. So this is something that comes immediately. So it is really, we are targeting the Kenyans, we are targeting the international arrivals, but so it's not just the international big tours that we are targeting.
Very interesting. Our viewers, we are still discussing promoting, that is, tourism between Uganda and, of course, the coast, where we are looking at tapping into each other's advantage, that when for any tourist that lands at the coast, doesn't go back without visiting Uganda. For any tourist that comes in Uganda, doesn't go back without visiting, this is the coast, where we believe each of us has got a cooperative advantage that we feel these tourists must come and enjoy. Now, Claire, when we talk about the coast and, of course, Uganda, what is each other's niche into this business? That someone watching us, UBC's watched all over the globe, and maybe they have been looking at the coast and they're used to the coast. Why should they endeavor not to go back without coming to Uganda?
Like I mentioned at the beginning, our product is very different, and it's much more diversified. So it will enable the different market segments and the different tourist demographics that go to the coast. When they go to the coast, it's mainly because of marine tourism. They go for the beaches. But if they come to Uganda, they get an advantage of enjoying other things other than the beaches. Like I mentioned, in Kenya, you can't find the chimpanzees, you can't find mountain gorillas, they are here. So we have a more enriched primate offering or safari or proposition. Adventure tourism. Our adventure tourism is unmatched. In fact, very soon, we are positioning Uganda as the adventure city of the region. The things that you can do in Uganda in terms of adventure experiences, you can't find them anywhere. We recently hosted Kenyans on a farm trip. After the roadshow that I talked about in May, we brought them for a farm trip in Uganda. And they couldn't believe the things they were doing, the zip lining, the whitewater rafting. There's a lot of things that you can do on the Nile that you cannot do at the coast. There's a lot of things. I talked about Martyrs' Day. Now when you talk about the Kenyans at the coast, a lot of those people are Catholics. Same with Nigeria. A lot of churches in Nigeria are named after our Saint Kizito, Matia Mulumba.
This time we saw a number of them from Nigeria. Very many came Martyrs' Day.
Our job is to identify those complementary experiences that people can experience in Uganda that are known at the region, at the coast in Kenya, for both the Kenyans and the international arrivals that come to Mombasa.
But listening to Claire brings me to ask, how has tourism evolved in Uganda? Because it seems now we are moving away from just God-given tourism. The animals, the mountains. What is new? That's really, when you look at this sector, you believe these are now new potential areas to venture into?
In fact, Uganda is now, in terms of competition, we are focused and actually leading We have so many new other niche products coming up. Uganda is a leading country in Africa, not only maybe the whole world, where we have the women bird watchers, and we are hosting the international conference for women birders here. Nobody else has even talked about. Nobody has it. It's only us here in Uganda, and you see very many people from all over the world. Over 200 people have already registered, and most of them are from outside Africa. Why? Because we focused on that niche and it is working out. We are focused on culture. Culture, we are moving very fast. We have a Culture Guides Club. We have two operators focusing on culture. We are developing packages. I am sure even last month we have restarted surveying a culture product within Buganda and Ankole, making it together. You've had, there are so many festivals coming up, Ankole Festival, Chigezi Festival. You've had Nyegenyegezi. This is the cultural festivals that are coming up to promote cultural tourism. The adventure you hear, Karamoja, is the leading part of the country, where you have adventure that is live. You ride bicycles within the communities, you travel with communities. Even in Ankole, there are people who go within the communities and they are digging with them, they are milking cows, they are making ghee. The guys in Chivale are making banana juice with tourists, peeling matokes, cooking for them, and they tourists sit down and peel matoke and cook for themselves. So adventure here is becoming very rich. So we are not, much as we are going to look for complementaries, we are not sitting down. Uganda is moving very fast. I think a time came and we realized that, well, if we have to have more in the basket, if we don't increase our basket, we are going to lose out. So that's why, and even in terms of wildlife, by the way, we are still competing in terms of wildlife diversity. If you talk about birds in the wildlife, we are the best. Talk about butterflies, we are on top. You talk about so many, even amphibians, we are there, we're on top. So they cannot, even reptiles, we are there. They cannot compete with us. But we have to make sure that, okay, they have been in the market, all these other countries, they have many more things they have, but we can put on ours to theirs, they benefit from us, and we benefit from them. The other thing I want to tell you that we've been aggressively involved in training. Training in Uganda, training service providers. We are now leading because they are now benchmarking from us. What was supposed to be benchmarking from other colleagues, now they are those benchmarking from us. Every other day, I get calls every other day. Even the thing I've just talked about, that we are going to have a meeting of hotel owners and hotel managers to validate the occupations in the hospitality sector. I already have people already calling me, what is it that you're going to do? Can you have a look at what you're going to do? What means that we are on the lead, and that's how we've been evolving. And I can tell you that if it wasn't COVID and probably this Ebola, our receipts are becoming, they are competitive, because remember in 2019 we went up to 1.8 billion, and which was almost the same as Tanzania and Kenya. So meaning that if we had not had these interruptions, we would be now in $2.something billion, or maybe 3. And in fact, we are even focused. Our target is like as private sector, like in the next 5 years, we should be able to touch on at least $4 billion. Yeah.
Well, we probably don't have any other interruptions. When you talk about Ebola, people in the tourism sector almost faint. When you talk about COVID, many sectors were hurt, but I must argue the tourism sector was greatly hurt. But I'm happy that it's just getting back. And really, I think there's been a speedy recovery, I must commend fairly, because now when I look at hotel bookings, mean that that's my yardstick of judging.
Yes.
Hotels where I used to go to, and they will tell you we have 100 rooms, but maybe only 10. Today when I go there, you're like, hey, man, at least
by August, September, the hotel bookings had surpassed 50% of the original one. Yes. But now COVID shot it back. I mean, sorry, Ebola.
Ebola has hit.
Has so many cancellations. They even had a group coming last week. They cancelled.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's, but we hope most of these will cancel. They postpone to maybe July, August. If it is handled, by July we shall get back to the road.
And that's the reason why, fellow Ugandans, we should all be very alert and ensure Ebola, we are declared a country free of Ebola. This except people escaping from isolation centers, for sure, let's be serious enough. Because one thing I discovered with tourism, it has a trickle-down effect.
Yeah.
And that people must understand. From the moment a tourist jets into Entebbe airport, everyone is benefiting. From the person who is going to drive them, the hotel they are going to go, the farmer, me, I sell my potatoes out, they have market. So tourism has a trickle-down effect. And I must say, if all Ugandans can appreciate and understand tourism, and also look at diseases that have an impact on this sector, we should jointly work together to eliminate and fight away from the huge monies we get from tourism that may go to the consolidated fund and maybe the roads and all that. Still, it has a direct impact to everybody. For me, when I see a tourist, I see money. I don't know.
If you can see villages like Bigodi, 25 years ago it was a grass-thatched town, but go there now, solar panels, new buildings, new hotels. Bohoma, in 1998, Bohoma was just a very wild village, but you go there, have one of the best referral hospital. They have a nursing school sponsored by tourists where the students study on iPads.
Wow.
In Bohoma, yes.
This brings me to Claire. Claire, still looking at tourism, of course our viewers, we are discussing promoting tourism between Uganda and Kenya, most of the coastal town. And there is a conference that is coming up, that is on the 17th of this month, and that is going to be in Mombasa, where all players in this sector, you must do your best to attend and be part of this conference, because it will help you synergize, it will help you get opportunities, market better, open up, and we shall see tourists come to the coast and still come to Uganda, still go to the coast. So we want to promote this East African spirit in terms of tourism and benefiting. But just doing some homework here back home. Claire, for these communities that have these tourism sites, how do they stand to benefit? Recently I was at Queen Elizabeth, and I was speaking to some local. I told them, I don't understand why a person would poison a lion. I don't understand why someone would go for this wildlife. This person told me, but you see, young man, you're from Kampala, you don't stay here. I'm like, yes. We see people come in, these animals are not ours. They're for the white people, they are for you who come to Kampala, they're not ours. They sneak, go to our gardens, destroy our crops, destroy our, sometimes and hurt our people. They are loved more than we are loved. They are cared for more than, if you, an animal can kill a person, and we even don't, so there was so much crap that they were talking about. But one thing that came to my mind is, are there benefits for these local communities? So that apart from saying a tourist has come and maybe built a school, deliberate. I know this may be more of UA, but still Uganda tourism, you ought to promote this. This also comes into that we've ensured we have this peaceful coexistence. This love that when they see a tourist, they don't look at this white man or a black man like me who is coming from Kampala with certain machines looking around and all that, pretending to be busy, but they see benefits.
Thank you, Robert. As the tourism board, and of course working with our sister agency, the Uganda Wildlife Authority, we have sensitized the communities around our protected areas to understand the impact of tourism to especially the communities around those protected areas. We have, and how it impacts their livelihoods. Tourism is the biggest source of employment for most of the people living around those communities. It could be for your husband when you're at home not working, but we're going to have to sensitize these ladies that this is the source of livelihood. Many of their husbands are trained and now assimilated in the sector as tour guides across different areas of the tourism value chain. Many of these women make souvenirs for these visitors, and they earn a living from them. They earn some sort of income. Some of the visitors actually go to these communities, like Herbert was explaining, for community tourism, where they want to even live with these communities. So some of them have even understood that they can actually become actively involved in the sector. For homestays, before COVID came in, it was a very, very big product on demand, where people now no longer want to come and live in isolation in the big hotels. They want to come and live with the community so that they see how do Ugandans live day to day, the communities in Karamoja or everywhere in Uganda. So we've sensitized people about, first of all, the opportunities for them in the sector, how they can actively get involved so that they get employment and get some income from tourism, but then also about that trickle-down effect that you talked about. Even if you're not directly involved in the sector, we're going to have to sensitize them so that they understand how tourism impacts them directly as people living near the protected areas, but also how it contributes generally to the economy of the country in terms of jobs, in terms of revenue, so that they get to appreciate and become even more protective about their product.
The other thing in addition is that the Uganda Wildlife Authority gives checks every year of hundreds of millions to the communities living around it, protected areas. So they still benefit. It's about culture. It's about culture and attitude of the people. You see, when you get many more people who don't understand conservation properly, they treasure their animals more than wildlife. And of course, the wild animals don't have borders. They will still cross into the communities. In fact, the communities are increasing. The quest for land the demand for land is bigger, is increasing every year. The depopulations, those enclaves in the parks are increasing, but animals are being forced to go into a different kind of behavior. So if you put domestic animals in the enclaves, they will still be attacked by the wild animals, and it's a soft target. So when they get them killed, then people get annoyed and come and kill the lions, poison them. In fact, to be honest, if they can reduce the number of people living in the national parks, put them somewhere else, we shall have successful conservation, and you can already see many more animals. Because we're actually keeping people in the national parks. You see, by the time they created these national parks in the early 1900s, they did not focus on the population increase, on what would happen. They left them there as enclaves because they found them there. But they should have removed them and left them as national parks. So that when you go there, you know it is illegal. But now they live within the parks. Some of them are permanently there. The Constitution knows them that they must be there. So even if you do whatever you are going, they even have collaboration measures, they have committees, but still animals will come and eat the goats, they will come and eat the cows, and they'll go and kill them. And it happens all over East Africa.
All over East Africa. Well, that is something also that is not that very good. But about his proposal, they should...
It's a difficult one.
If a member of parliament in any of those constituencies heard you talk about voters being relocated, that would be opening a can of worms, but we won't go there today. We shall focus more on actually what is going to happen on the 17th. That is the conference and exhibition that is going to be in Mombasa. And here we are going to see key players in this sector meet together, share ideas, but also I love the bit that there's going to be some touring, and of course benchmarking, because really we want to ensure, according to my guests, they're saying we want to have uniformity. You know, you move in Kampala, you find a guest house named a hotel, and you're like, and then they're confident. Even on advertising, they're calling it a lodge, a hotel, and you're like, So, if a tourist booked a hotel, and then is from a hotel in Mombasa, he's brought what is called and named a hotel in Uganda, and it's an inn, then I think all this may not work to its best. And I know Herbert is very passionate about that. Usually says, we are killing what we should be building. But in the interest of time, Ambassador, let me have your final remarks.
Thank you, Robert. My final word is to encourage as many as possible in the tourism sector of Uganda to register, to prepare to travel to Mombasa on the 16th. As we said earlier, the rates have all been heavily discounted. Traveling to Mombasa on a return ticket of $250 instead of the usual $450 to $500 is a rare opportunity. Getting all these accommodations, some of it complimentary, does not always happen. So really, and the experience of seeing these, as Claire said earlier, the hotels at the coast, some of them are almost a whole village. It's one hotel. You find 3 hotels have combined to be one hotel. So all of these are experiences that the Ugandan tourism players need to see, need to experience, but also to build these networks. So we encourage really the Ugandan tourism players to come and join us to be part of this process. And we hope that we shall see many of you as possible in Mombasa next week.
Claire, your parting shot.
Thank you, Robert. Mine is to implore and encourage all the practitioners in our sector to go and be a part of this conference. It's going to give all of you an opportunity, whether you're a tour operator in the tourism sector of Uganda, a hotelier, even people that are not yet in the sector, but you have hope of becoming one of the, to start up a business in tourism. Take advantage of this platform to go and learn, first of all, because there's going to be a lot of knowledge sharing from key experts in the industry, even in the global space. So you can use this platform to go and learn more about tourism, the emerging trends, and what you can go, even if you're just going to start up a business. For those that already have businesses, please register to attend the conference so that you go and learn more about what is happening, where the industry is moving, and also, most importantly, use that opportunity to network and get new partners that can bring for you business to Uganda, from the Kenyans that would want to come to Uganda for different experiences, but also, very importantly, for the international visitors that go to the coast that can also extend their trips to our destination, Uganda.
How about your final word this morning?
Well, I want to encourage Ugandans, the business community, to make sure that they don't miss this opportunity. You've heard the Kenyan counterparts are all excited, they are waiting, they have even offered rooms. Now the thing is, it is very cheap. $250 ticket, you have only 2 nights in Mombasa for the conference, and the rest is paid for. Who wouldn't want to get this opportunity? Please book on and be there. Everybody can go. Guides, tour operators, hoteliers, other investors. This is your time to go and enjoy. Don't miss out this opportunity to go to the ocean, to go and see Mombasa, take a boat ride, go and see the marine, the exercises. They are very, very important. So I really want to encourage, I want to, of course, to thank Ambassador for doing a fantastic job, because being our representative at the coast, realized there is a need to do this, and therefore let us rally behind him, let us support him and be there with him. And also the hoteliers and the tour operators, I'm encouraging them to make sure they get involved in the farm trip of the people coming here, so that they're able to even offer the services and give a taste of their services so that they can benefit now. Thank you very much.
Well, I want to thank you so much. That is Ambassador Paul Mukabya. Thank you so much for your time, and of course the good work you're doing there that has greatly contributed to the conference. I want to thank you so much, Claire Mugabe. Thanks for your time. That is the Marketing Manager, Uganda Tourism Board, and the man in this industry, the president, that is Herbert Byarhanga. Thank you so much for your time, for also encouraging other people. Well, money makes money, but these are opportunities that you can't afford to miss. Go explore now Mombasa for Ugandans, so that we are able to improve, that is, that people don't just come and leave the coast without coming to Uganda, or even come to Uganda without going to the coast. I believe it's a win-win situation, no competition. We are promoting regional tourism, and this is the beginning of it. This is a must-attend opportunity, and the good thing is costs have been looked into. So invest, because really I believe it will pay back. Have a lovely day. Robert Chirabo, wishing you a blessed day. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.